We got 2 downpipes. These are the catless versions. They're stainless steel, some TIG welds, some MIG welds. Compilation of the 2, and then we've got a crossover right there, so the 2 connect. Probably helps with sound quite a bit. Tapout sends you all this cool stuff. It's pretty nice. Just a checklist to make sure you got everything, and then a full color installation, which is rare nowadays. So that's pretty cool. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing in the air so we can get the oil draining out and start pulling the downpipes off. But before I do, I want to do a quick sound clip of before with the completely factory exhaust. Step 1 is to disconnect the O2 sensors from inside the engine bay. I'm starting on the passenger side, kind of learning as I go, but basically the O2 sensors don't have enough length for you to drop the cat out and then unplug it. So you just unplug it when you get started, and that way you don't have a hiccup later on when you're underneath the car and you can't get back up here to do this. This little connector here, which is going to be very hard to see. You can see it with the red tab in it, and it's got a like blue paint on it. That is the O2 sensor plug for the passenger side, and it was mounted to the coolant pipe, which is behind it. You've got your coolant overflow here. You can see the top of the engine cover here. You've got a metal pipe here and this wire here. That's how I referenced their photo to begin with. Now there is a small tab. I'm gonna put the screwdriver on it right there. See the end of the screwdriver hitting that tab? That's a coolant pipe, and the tab is gonna be hooked into that. The tab for this is this little black plastic clip right there on the end of the screwdriver, and that was locked into that. So I pushed on it with the flathead and got it out, and now I can access the connector. I'm gonna slide those out and disconnect it. This is what the connector looks like, and that red tab, which is very hard to keep in focus, that is the piece that needs to be slid up so that you can remove it. Now it's up right now, it's like a 2-stage tab. So I'm gonna push it down in the dark, but now you can see it again. That's what it looks like when it's all the way in. So you're going to pull up on it, be very careful not to break it. Now it will allow itself to become unplugged. That's when you will then push down on the inside here, and then with 2 hands, meaning you're not holding a camera, you can pull it apart. Let's go to the other side. Sadly, the driver's side is arguably harder to get to. Now you can see that yellow wire there. That is the connector that we are trying to disconnect. The red safety clip, or the red lock, is pointing down on this one. It's not the red thing you're seeing there further down on the wire. The red clip we can't actually see on camera right now. I'll push down to unlatch it, and then I'll come with my other hand and push in and try to pull the connector out that way. I'm just gonna disconnect it, and then we're ready to raise the car up and start on the actual downpipe removal. Next, go ahead and raise the car up, and then if you look, this is the passenger side downpipe. You look up in there, you can see a blue type connector. There's a little gray lock on it. Slide that out, disconnect that one. That's the lower O2 on the passenger side. Once we got the passenger side lower O2 plug disconnected, we can take off this lower cap brace right here. There are 5 nuts. It's a 13 mil. I'm gonna use an open end. Can't really get in there with an impact, so I'm gonna go ahead and loosen all these. Get this plate out of the way. So once you get all 5 nuts off, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the last one is up there. Kind of hard to see. It's gonna be a little tough to get the bracket off. So if you take this side off first and then wiggle it off that one, you can kind of rotate it down like so, twist it, and pull it right out. Once you've got this O2 sensor disconnected, we're ready to start loosening up all the downpipe physical connections. So we've got 2 15 mil nuts here, which I already took off. And then there's 4 15 millimeter nuts on the exhaust housing of the turbo on both sides. And you have these 2 things on the band clamp here, which I went ahead and took those off as well and slid this forward. Now, these ones I didn't need to worry about PB blaster because they're fine. They're pretty easy to get off. The top ones, so far, seemingly are a nightmare. So I got in there with some PB blaster. I shot all the ones I could get to. It makes a mess, but yeah, I've only gotten 1 off thus far. It's definitely going to be time consuming. I've got a 15 mil 6-point socket on a swivel 3/8, and I need a 3/8 because the diameter is, it's important to be as small diameter as possible, but hopefully I don't break my extensions trying to get them off. So there's 3 more on this side and 4 on that side, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull this O2 sensor now. So once you've got this blue plug disconnected, it's a 22 mil open end or a 7/8. Go ahead and break that one loose and take that one out, and keep in mind where it came out from. Just want to keep track of that so they all go back in their respective places so that everything plugs in and syncs up right away and you don't have issues. Okay, as the directions say, it's very frustrating. It's a lot of work to get these downpipes off. It's very, very simple in what you're doing, but actually getting to them is very difficult. So save yourself a lot of time and go ahead and buy one of these if you don't already have one. This is a 3/8 drive 15 millimeter swivel socket. The reason you have to do this as opposed to like an inline swivel is because you need it to turn immediately when it comes off rather than have like a X amount of space taken up right here by the physical shape. So what you want is something just like this. I got this at Harbor Freight. The top right, the bottom left, you can get them all with this and a series of extensions. The top left one is extremely difficult and you're gonna wanna use a deep socket. So what I did is used a deep socket like so with an inline swivel and then a couple other extensions because it's what I had. I tried to make it as short as I could and still, you know, get it but not be any longer than I have to, which is why I have the shorter extension here on the bottom. Now the reason I put the electrical tape in there, I get this all the way seated on the nut and then I bring the extension in with this piece, and this was all flopping around all crazy and it was really hard to aim in there. So I put some electrical tape around it. It stiffens things up, it still allows it to flex, and you can get your other extensions in. It sucks, let me reiterate. This is not a fun time. But now, as you can see, it's completely loose, and if I move it any more than that, it's probably gonna fall out. So to clarify, the top O2 sensor we already disconnected, but the bottom O2, this one right here, runs up on the side of the trans. You can see there's a connector just up past my fingers. A little black connector up there, I want to get rid of that. Okay, I got both the O2 sensors out. I got them both in this one. This way we don't mix up the orientation. Top, bottom, left, right, drivers, passengers, whatever you want to call it. That one's good to go. Now we got to pull the other side. So starting with this passenger side, I got the first lower bolt out like no problem, pretty easy. Now the O2 sensor, I don't think you have to pull it, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull it so I can get in there with my extension a little easier. So if you reach up this way, it's not a comfortable position, but you can turn that O2. You can probably see that rotating. There we go. Now that's out of my way and I have a more straight shot up above that cat to get to those stop bolts. I was able to get 3 of the 4 nuts on this one, and of course the most difficult one on this side is the same as the most difficult one on this side. It's that upper top left over here, and on this side it's the upper top right. So I got more PB blasters sitting on there just soaking, and while I wait, I'm going ahead and removing the gasket on the outside of this turbo outlet here. I know it's dark, but it looks like it's all one piece. It's not. You just need to put a pick tool in there, or in my case I used a flathead and a hammer like this, and I basically just chiseled it out, and you can tell it's about to fall off right now. There she is. Finally got the right side nut loose. Again, I'm using an insane extension combo, so there's a lot of energy lost by all these different connections. If you have a single long extension or at least 2 rather than 3 like I do, you'll be better off. But the route that I used that did work with this crazy combo is going this direction. I tried to go over here and it just wasn't allowing it to work. I went over here, it finally snapped loose. It's crazy violent when it does. You'll be surprised as soon as you do it, you'll realize what I'm talking about. But it's loose, it's ready, so I'm gonna pull these off. I'm gonna get a new gasket in here. We can get the new downpipes up in place. Make sure you put anti-seize on those O2 sensor threads, and then make sure you also put anti-seize on the 4 studs coming out of the backside of the turbo. If you got a bunch of PP blaster, maybe clean that up with some brake cleaner or whatever. All that shit's gonna burn off when you fire the car up. It might freak you out a little bit, so keep that in mind. Whatever you don't clean off is gonna burn off, and it will result in a little bit of, you know, smoke or whatever as it's burning away. A couple heat cycles, it'll be gone anyway, so not a big deal regardless, but it's a brand new car. Keep it fresh, you know? All right, I got everything cleaned up now. I got my gasket installed on both sides, both turb skis ready to rip. All the studs have anti-seize. Now we can install the new one. So I know we're gonna have some issues with the trans lines. I read ahead on the directions. Those are gonna be in the way. And then, yeah, I guess I gotta pull this back a little. Maybe that's gonna be in the way. We got this to look at, so I'm gonna throw this in the tripod and you're just along for the ride. Now I'm gonna start with the passenger side because that's what Tapout recommends. I did wanna mention that you need to put the band clamp from the stock downpipe onto the driver's side Tapout downpipe before you move forward, because once you get it installed, it'll be pretty much impossible to put on. So just slide it over. I had to tap mine with a hammer lightly. Don't dent it, don't ding it, just get it on there. Then you can move the position rotation-wise once it's in place. Okay, everything's tightened up. This is tight, this is tight. Got my heat sleeve on here. It's for the trans lines. If you got a manual, it looks a lot harder. If you have an auto, you just take this bracket, bend it up as high as you can. It kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie, but I got the clearance that I need and I did not kink the line, so that's what's most important. And you know, all my O2 sensors are tight. I did that before I put them in. I don't know if you can do that if you run cats, but this is a strictly race car in Mexico, so everything's tied up there. Everything's set up there, so all I gotta do is plug in my O2 sensors. We can fire it up. So when the valves are closed, it's hardly a noticeable difference. I mean, you can tell for sure, but as far as like in-cabin noise and stuff, it is, I would say it's the exact same as stock. Definitely louder when it's open, but this, again, windows down right now. Try to get a couple of downshifts here. The burble is noticeably different. I want to get a quick idle clip from the back walking around. I'm going to stop talking, let you listen to it. These are valves open, track mode. Now we'll follow that up with the valves closed, touring mode. And that's pretty much it. So I hope that these clips give you guys a good idea of how this thing sounds. I try to walk around and show every angle so you know what it's going to be like in everyday life when you're pulling up to pick up your kids, or, you know, driving home at 11 o'clock at night and you don't want to disturb your neighbors. Tour mode is great. You can hardly tell. You can tell there's a difference, but it's not super obvious. It's definitely not anything like doing a straight through muffler or an axle back delete or whatever. I think we're going to leave it here. This is very docile. The car feels amazing power wise. I hope this video helps you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace out.